After 12 years, we finally have a new Superman film. So today, I thought it was time for me to stop and talk about James Gunn's Superman. Please don't forget to check out that Twitter and that TikTok link. Those links are in the description. Everything that I will say in this video is just my very own opinion. My name is SW Nation, and you are free to comment down below. What did you think of the new Superman film? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Comment that down below in the comment section. With all of that being said, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. And let's get right into our review.
Ready?
Let's do it, Cronkite.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
This was my most anticipated film of the year, actually of the past 3 years. So with that being said, let's move right into the good. And the good thing that comes to mind here is that James Gunn just doesn't know how to make a bad comic book film, does he? Like, you get the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, you got Peacemaker, you got the Suicide Squad. I mean, James Gunn is just firing on all cylinders, and here he delivers another great film. Not only does he step out of his box from making the ragtag team-up films, he brings the Man of Steel back to life. Superman is a very important film for DC because this movie is needed to reshape the brand of DC. It wasn't going to be done with Black Adam. It wasn't going to be done with Flash. You needed the granddaddy of all superheroes to come back and clean up the mess. I remember when they announced it. I was in my senior year of high school when they announced Superman Legacy. I was in my first year of college in the summer when they announced the casting. And I remember when they announced that they were filming and how much everything that they were doing for the film, all the filming, the writing, the person who was helming it, everything just worked for me. And then the costume dropped and it still worked for me. The reintroduction of Superman is just a powerful one, a hopeful one, and a triumphant one. From the jump, this film is aiming to give us more of an inspiring feeling walking out of the theater. I walked out of this film feeling inspired to do good and to be better than I was the day before. David Cornsweet brings so much to this role. He's a big nerd, but he also makes you fall in love with this character. Yes, he's the strongest metahuman. Yes, he's the most powerful being in the world, but he still chooses to be good and tries to be a better person than he was the day before. His empathetic choices are consistently made throughout the entire film. The movie truly is a story about Clark Kent understanding his own humanity and appreciating his own humanity, and I think that's incredible. We also get some incredible casting in here with Rachel Brosnahan, Lois Lane. She's great. I think her and David Cornsweet's chemistry is also incredible. You can see it in the trailers, but once you watch the film, it's even more special. And I love the fact that Lois fell in love with Clark Kent, and then she falls in love with Superman, and she loves Clark Kent more than she loves Superman. And I love when they do Lois and Clark like that. James Gunn is no stranger to making us care for CGI animals, whether it's a rat, whether it's an eagle, or whether it's a raccoon. And in this, he goes to the classic with a dog. And he's just a great addition here. Inherently, you put Krypto in a Superman movie, there's going to be some reservations. You know, a flying dog with a cape, how are we going to be able to ground this? And the greatest thing about the film is that it's not that grounded, so you can have a flying dog in here, and once you see Krypto in the film, you realize why he did it. I also appreciated the fact that they introduced the Justice Gang in the mix. You know, you got Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, Isabella Merced as Hawk Girl, but also this guy, Mr. Terrific. He was in that X-Men film, and I love the fact that James Gunn gives him justice here because Mr. Terrific is my favorite character of the Justice Gang. He steals every scene that he's in, and in my opinion, he's the standout in the entire film. Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor is also a generational hater here, and you have to absolutely hate him. His spite and envy is so petty and full of jealousy, and Holt's performance truly gives us a villain to hate. And I love the fact that he's able to convey so much emotion, the anger, the jealousy, and he puts it all on the screen to the point where he hates Superman so much to where he's crying, he's bawling tears, and it's truly truly a great performance to see on screen. A lot of people have reservations about Superman projects because he's so overpowered in the comic. You can't really make a tenseful enough story because he'll just punch his way out of anything. James Gunn found a way to crack the code on that. The central conflict that Superman has to face here is just different and ballsy enough that provides some interesting insight into the House of El. If you've seen the Adventures of Superman show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It didn't come as a shock to me when they introduced this interesting idea because, you know what? I'm okay with it. I'm fine with them changing a little bit of the lore. And if that worked for the story, then it works for the story. Additionally, this is one of the most comic booky films of all time. Like I said before, Crypto the Superdog flying around on screen gave me some reservations because of the fact that it didn't feel grounded enough. Additionally, you also have the red underwear on the outside. You got Hawk Girl and Green Lantern flying around. And it just looked like nothing was going to be grounded in verisimilitude. And well, that was James Gunn's point. He didn't want to ground this film in verisimilitude. He wanted to make a comic book film, a big dumb comic book film that has a whole lot of heart and inspired to say something to the audience. We have kaijus, Green Lanterns, and flying super dogs fighting interdimensional imps. And you know what? I think that's perfectly fine for a Superman film. As this is part of the larger DCU that James Gunn and Peter Safran are crafting, we jump right into the middle of the action. We're 3 years into this new Superman. We don't need to see the origin story. We don't need to see how he got here in this pod. And I appreciated that a lot. So where we can finally just have a regular Superman story. And with this being a part of a larger universe, the world does feel a little bit bigger, the scope is large, and everyone is already accustomed to metahumans. So James Gunn did the right choice to drop us right in the middle of the action to where it doesn't let up. The pace just keeps on moving, which made for a pretty fun experience. Lastly, I want to talk about how the score is just so uplifting and hopeful. There are big emotional moments inside of this film that makes you feel like, yes, finally, Superman is doing this on the big screen. And thanks to the music, thanks to the score, and James Gunn has previously said that this wasn't going to be soundtrack led. Thanks to that musical score, you feel everything. And when you feel everything, you walk out of this film feeling hopeful and inspired and wanting to be a better person than you were than when you came in. The mixed thing that comes to mind here and that these are not necessarily good things or bad things. These are just things that I wanted to talk about. So there's less Clark here and more Superman. It is very much a Superman story, not a Superman Clark Kent story. And you know what? In some cases I like that. In other cases I really wish that we would have gotten more time. And this leads me into my next mixed portion is it has a shorter runtime. I wanted a longer runtime. Maybe we should have spent a little bit more time with his parents. Maybe we should have spent a little bit more time in the Daily Planet. But it's also very reminiscent of the Batman film, where I love the fact that it's mostly just Batman and a cow. But you also wish that you got a little bit more of Bruce Wayne in there. And even though we got just a tiny bit of Clark Kent in this, you still wish that you would have gotten a little bit more time in the Daily Planet. And the bad thing that comes to mind here is that the action is cool, but the city is getting destroyed 4 times a week inside of this film. So you beg the question, who would actually want to stay in Metropolis during all of this? It's kind of like how it is in Gotham. Who would want to stay in Gotham anymore with all of that crime going there? There are 4 different attacks happening in the same week in this film to Metropolis. To them, it's just regular Tuesday. So a big battle inside of the city just doesn't have the same weight as it would if it didn't happen 4 times a week. But if that's it, if that's all the negatives that I have about this film, I think we got a pretty good film on our hands. In conclusion, Superman is the movie that we needed right now. A hopeful film that's not ashamed, that's not afraid to be comic booky, that's not afraid to be silly, that's also not afraid to have the heart. It's not only trying to rehabilitate DC, but it's also trying to reignite the Superman character and making me want to be a better person than I was walking into it. I loved this film. I love Superman as a character. I love this film. I'm giving it an A+, a 9.6 out of 10, and I would say it's punk rock. It's cool to be kind. Alright guys, that is it for the review. Please note that everything that I did say in this video was just my very own opinion, and you are free to comment down below. What did you think of the Superman film? Comment down below your thoughts. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Also, please don't forget to check out that Twitter and that TikTok link. Those are in the description. And come back later for Superman films ranked. With all that being said, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all next time. Peace.